The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor, spraying crystal shards across $1,000 shoes. Nobody moved. They were all too busy staring at the woman who'd thrown it. "You're fired," Damien Ashford said, his voice cold enough to frost the windows of the penthouse conference room. I didn't flinch. I'd expected this. What I hadn't expected was the way his steel-gray eyes lingered on me for just a second too long, like he was seeing me for the first time instead of the 100th. "My name is Sophie Chen, and 3 seconds ago, I just committed career suicide by telling the most powerful tech billionaire in San Francisco that his new product would kill people." He didn't believe me. He was about to learn the hard way that I was right. 48 hours earlier, I'd been nobody. Just another software engineer at Titan Industries, buried 3 levels deep in the org chart, writing code that made Damien Ashford richer while I ate ramen for dinner. My cubicle was in the basement. My badge didn't open executive elevator doors. My opinions were filed under irrelevant. But I was good at my job, better than good. I could read code the way some people read novels, seeing patterns and problems that others missed. It's why I'd been assigned to Project Nexus, Damien's pet project and the company's next billion-dollar launch. Nexus was supposed to revolutionize healthcare. An AI-driven diagnostic implant that monitored your vitals 24/7, predicted medical emergencies before they happened, and automatically dispatched help. It was brilliant. It was ambitious. It was also fundamentally broken. I'd found the flaw on a Tuesday night at 11 p.m., 3 days before launch. I'd been running stress tests on the emergency protocol when I saw it, a race condition in the cardiac monitoring algorithm. Under specific circumstances, if a patient's heart rate spiked and dropped rapidly, the system would misread the data and inject the wrong dosage of emergency medication. Not just wrong, lethal. I'd stared at my screen for a full minute, my coffee going cold in my hand. Then I'd run the test again, and again. Same result every time. The Nexus implant, Damien Ashford's golden child, would kill approximately 0.3% of users within the first year of deployment. That didn't sound like much until you did the math. Titan had pre-sold 50,000 units. 0.3% meant 150 dead bodies. I'd gone straight to my manager. He'd told me I was overthinking it. I'd gone to his manager. She told me to trust the QA team. I'd gone to the VP of engineering. He'd looked at me like I was insane and told me the launch was in 3 days and we weren't delaying for theoretical edge cases. So I'd done the only thing left. I'd crashed the executive presentation. Which brought me to the penthouse conference room, surrounded by people who made more money in an hour than I made in a year, holding a champagne glass I'd grabbed from the catering tray. "Mr. Ashford," I'd said, my voice shaking but clear. "Nexus has a critical flaw in the cardiac protocol. If you launch on Friday, people will die." The room had gone silent. Damien had been mid-sentence, talking to the board about projected revenue. He'd stopped, turned, and looked at me like I was a particularly annoying insect. "Security," he'd said. That's when I threw the glass. Not at him, at the screen behind him, where the Nexus promotional video was playing. The crystal shattered against the display, spiderwebbing the image of a smiling family supposedly saved by the device. 150 people, I'd said into the shocked silence. "That's how many will die in the first year if you launch this. I have the data, I have the code, and if you don't listen to me right now, you'll have blood on your hands." Damien had stood up slowly. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of presence that made rooms feel smaller. His suit probably cost more than my car. His watch definitely did. "You're fired," he'd repeated. "Get out." "Look at the data first," I'd begged. 5 minutes, that's all I need. "You have 30 seconds before I call the police." I'd pulled the flash drive from my pocket and slammed it on the table. It's all here. The code, the tests, the failure scenarios. If you launch Nexus and I'm wrong, I'll resign and never work in tech again. But if I'm right and you ignore this. 20 seconds. Then you're not a visionary. You're just another rich man who values profit over people. That's when his expression had changed, just slightly. A flicker of something behind the ice, anger, maybe, or curiosity. Get out, he'd said quietly. You're done here. Security had escorted me out. I'd cleaned out my cubicle in 10 minutes, stuffing 3 years of work into a cardboard box while my coworkers pretended not to stare. By the time I reached the parking garage, I'd already gotten the termination email. Effective immediately. No severance. Escorted from the premises. I'd sat in my car for 20 minutes, hands shaking, wondering what the hell I'd just done. I'd thrown away my career, my stability, my ability to pay rent next month. But I'd done the right thing. Even if nobody believed me. I drove home through rush hour traffic, my mind spinning. The flash drive was still in their conference room. Maybe someone would look at it. Maybe Damien would have a moment of doubt and run the tests himself. Or maybe he'd throw it in the trash and launch Nexus on schedule. And I'd spend the rest of my life watching the news for reports of unexplained deaths. My apartment in Oakland was small and drafty, but it was mine. I dropped the cardboard box by the door and collapsed onto my second-hand couch. My phone buzzed. 3 texts from former coworkers. Did you really throw a glass at Damien Ashford? Are you insane? Call me, we need to talk. I ignored them all. I was too tired to explain, too angry to be diplomatic. I must have dozed off because the next thing I knew, someone was pounding on my door. I jolted awake, my heart racing. The clock on the wall read 9:47 p.m. The pounding continued. I looked through the peephole and froze. Damien Ashford stood in my hallway, still wearing his suit, looking like he'd walked straight out of a boardroom and into my building without stopping. His expression was thunderous. I opened the door because I was too stunned to think of a reason not to. You were right, he said without preamble. I blinked. What? The cardiac protocol, the race condition. I ran your tests. He pushed past me into my apartment, his eyes scanning the cramped space like he'd never seen anything so small. It's worse than you said. Under the right conditions, the failure rate could be as high as 0.5%. My brain struggled to process this. You ran the tests. After you left, I went back to my office. I looked at the code. I ran the simulations. He turned to face me, and for the first time, I saw exhaustion in his eyes. You're right. We can't launch. Relief crashed over me so hard I had to sit down. Thank God. I pulled the plug 2 hours ago, canceled the launch, froze production. The board is furious. Our stock is going to tank when the market opens tomorrow. He ran a hand through his dark hair. But you were right. So why are you here? I asked. Because I need you to fix it. I stared at him. You fired me. I'm unfiring you. That's not how it works. I'm the CEO. I can do whatever I want. He pulled a folder from his briefcase and dropped it on my coffee table. New contract, triple your old salary, direct report to me, full access to the Nexus codebase and engineering team. I looked at the folder, then at him. You want me to fix the thing I just proved was broken? You're the only person who saw the problem. That makes you the best person to solve it. He sat down in my desk chair, completely uninvited. The launch is postponed, not canceled. I need Nexus working properly in 6 weeks, or we lose our contracts with every major hospital system in the country. 6 weeks is impossible. Then we'll do the impossible. He met my eyes. I was wrong to dismiss you. I was wrong to let my team ignore you, and I'm sorry. The apology caught me off guard. Damien Ashford didn't apologize. Everyone knew that. I need guarantees, I said slowly. Full authority to make changes. No interference from the old team. And if I say something's wrong, you listen. Done. And I want it in writing, that I won't be fired for telling you the truth. Something that might have been a smile flickered across his face. Smart. Done. I looked at the contract, at the salary that would change my life, at the man who'd humiliated me 12 hours ago now sitting in my apartment looking almost human. I'll think about it, I said. You have until morning. I'll pick you up at 7. He stood, straightening his suit jacket. And Sophie. Yeah. Don't ever throw champagne at me again. Next time, just send an email. He left. I sat on my couch, staring at the contract, wondering if I'd just made a deal with the devil or found the only person who might actually listen. At 6:55 a.m., I was showered, dressed, and drinking terrible instant coffee when the knock came. I opened the door to find Damien in jeans and a black t-shirt, looking disturbingly normal. You said yes, he said. I haven't signed anything. You're dressed and awake. You said yes. He handed me a to-go cup from the coffee shop downstairs. Vanilla latte, right? Your assistant mentioned it. I don't have an assistant. You do now. Her name is Rachel. She starts Monday. He was already walking toward the stairs. Let's go. We have work to do. The drive to Titan Industries was surreal. Damien drove himself in a Tesla that probably cost more than my student loans, and spent the entire trip on the phone with increasingly frantic board members. I don't care what the stock does, he said into his Bluetooth. We're not launching a product that kills people. Yes, I'm sure. Because the engineer who found the flaw is sitting next to me and she's brilliant. No, I'm not sleeping with her. Jesus, Richard, focus. I tried not to react to that. We pulled into the executive parking garage, and Damien led me to an elevator I'd never been allowed to use. His badge opened it. We rode to the top floor in silence. Fair warning, he said as the doors opened. The team that ignored you is about to have a very bad morning. The engineering department took up the entire 15th floor. It was open plan, all glass walls and standing desks, filled with developers who looked up nervously as we entered. My old manager, Derek, stood up from his desk. Mr. Ashford, I wasn't expecting. Conference room, now. Damien didn't slow down. VP of Engineering, QA lead, and everyone who signed off on Nexus. 5 minutes. I followed him into the glass-walled conference room. Through the windows, I could see the entire department watching. The team filed in. 12 people, all of whom had dismissed my warnings. Derek wouldn't meet my eyes. The VP, Harrison, looked furious. This is the engineer who found the critical flaw you all missed, Damien said, gesturing to me. Sophie Chen. As of today, she's the new technical lead on Project Nexus. Harrison's face went purple. You can't be serious. She's a junior developer who's been here 3 years. I have 15 years of. 15 years of missing a bug that would have killed people. Damien cut him off. She found it in 3 days. That tells me everything I need to know about your competence. Mr. Ashford, with all due respect. No, Damien's voice was quiet but absolute. This is not a discussion. Sophie has full authority over Nexus. If she says jump, you ask how high. If she says we're wrong, we're wrong. Clear. Silence. I said clear. Muttered agreement rippled around the table. Good, Sophie, the floor is yours. I stood up, my heart pounding. Every person in this room outranked me. Every person in this room had ignored me when I'd warned them. Now they had to listen. The cardiac protocol needs a complete rewrite, I said, pulling up my presentation on the screen. Not a patch, not a fix, a complete teardown and rebuild, and we're going to do it right this time. For the next 3 hours, I walked them through every failure scenario, every edge case, every potential death the old code would have caused. Some of them looked sick. Derek actually left the room at one point. Damien stayed the entire time, asking sharp questions, making notes, backing up every decision I made. By lunch, we had a plan. By the end of the week, we'd rebuilt half the system. And by the end of the second week, I realized 2 things. 1, I was actually going to pull this off. 2, I was falling for my boss. The late nights started innocently enough. Damien would stay after everyone left, working alongside me, writing code with a fluency that surprised me. "You actually know how to program," I'd said one night, watching him debug a function. "I built the first version of Titan's software in my dorm room," he'd replied without looking up. "I'm not just a suit, Sophie." Could have fooled me. He'd smiled at that. A real smile, not the corporate mask he wore in meetings. We fell into a rhythm. Work until midnight, order Thai food, argue about architecture decisions. He was brilliant and stubborn and actually listened when I pushed back. We were a good team. Too good. I started noticing things. The way his voice softened when he said my name. The way he'd bring me coffee without being asked. The way his hand would brush mine when we were both reaching for the same keyboard. "You should go home," he said one night at 2 a.m. "You've been here for 18 hours. "So have you." "I'm the boss. I don't have a choice." "You do, actually. You could delegate." "Not this. This is too important." He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his eyes. "Do you know why I started Titan?" "To make money." He laughed. "My dad died of a heart attack when I was 15. Massive coronary, no warning. He was 42 and healthy, or so we thought." His voice went quiet. "If Nexus had existed then, it would have caught the blockage, warned him, saved him." I didn't know what to say. "That's why I got so angry when you said it was broken," he continued. "This isn't just a product to me, it's personal." "I know," I said softly. "That's why I couldn't let you launch it, because your dad deserved better than a device that would have killed him." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and something shifted in the air between us. "Sophie." His phone rang. He glanced at the screen and swore. "It's the board. I have to take this." He stepped out. I sat alone in the conference room, my heart racing, wondering what he'd been about to say. 4 weeks into the rebuild, we hit a wall. The new protocol was stable, but it was slow. Too slow. It added a 3-second delay to emergency response times, which could mean the difference between life and death. "We need to optimize the decision tree," I said, staring at the whiteboard covered in diagrams. "We've tried 17 different approaches," Damien said. He looked exhausted. "We're running out of time." The launch was in 2 weeks. The hospital contracts had deadline clauses. If we didn't deliver, Titan would lose everything. "There has to be a solution," I muttered, packing. "There has to." My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Stop working on Nexus. This is your only warning." I stared at the screen. "What is it?" Damien asked. I showed him the text. His expression went dark. "When did you get this?" "Just now." He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Security, I need a trace on a number, and I want Sophie Chen's apartment and phone swept for surveillance devices. Now." "You think someone's watching me?" "I think someone doesn't want Nexus to launch." He was already pulling up security footage on his laptop. "And they're willing to threaten you to stop it." We spent the next hour with Titan's security team. They couldn't trace the number. It was a burner phone, turned off immediately after sending the text. But they found something worse. A listening device in my apartment, hidden in my smoke detector. "How long has that been there?" I asked, feeling violated. Based on the battery degradation, at least 2 months, the security chief said. 2 months. Someone had been listening to my phone calls, my conversations, my entire life for 2 months. Pack a bag, Damien said. You're not going back there. Where am I supposed to go? My place. I have security. You'll be safe. I can't just move into your house. It's not a house, it's a penthouse. And yes, you can. He looked at me. Whoever planted that bug knows where you live. They know what we're working on. I'm not risking your safety. I wanted to argue, but the fear trickling down my spine was louder than my pride. Okay, I said, but just until we figure out who's doing this. Damien's penthouse was ridiculous. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Bay Bridge, a kitchen bigger than my entire apartment, and a guest room that had its own bathroom with a soaking tub. Make yourself at home, he said, setting my hastily packed bag by the door. Kitchen's fully stocked, security is downstairs, and I'm right across the hall if you need anything. Thank you, I said. For this, for believing me, for everything. You saved my company, Sophie. This is the least I can do. He left me alone. I collapsed onto the guest bed, my mind spinning. Someone was watching me, threatening me, trying to stop Nexus from launching. But why? The answer hit me like a freight train. Someone wanted Nexus to fail. Someone who would benefit from Titan's collapse. Someone with access to my apartment, my information, my life. Someone inside the company. I grabbed my laptop and started digging. Financial records, email logs, access badges. I ran queries I definitely wasn't authorized to run, looking for patterns. I found them at 3 a.m. Harrison, the VP of engineering, the one who'd been so angry when I was promoted over him. He'd been shorting Titan stock for the last 3 months, betting against the company. If Nexus failed, he'd make millions. But there was more. Email exchanges with MedTech Solutions, Titan's biggest competitor. Meetings marked as personal in his calendar that corresponded with large deposits into an offshore account. Harrison wasn't just betting against Nexus. He was being paid to sabotage it. I burst out of my room and ran to Damien's door, pounding on it. He opened it immediately, wearing only pajama pants, his hair messed from sleep. What's wrong? Harrison, I said, breathless. He's the one. He planted the bug. He's shorting the stock. He's working with MedTech to kill Nexus. I showed him everything. The evidence was damning and clear. Damien's expression went cold. Get dressed. We're going to the office. Now, it's 3 a.m. Now, before he can destroy evidence. We took Damien's car, speeding through empty San Francisco streets. He called his security team, his lawyers, the police. By the time we reached Titan Tower, there was a small army waiting. Harrison's office was on the 15th floor. His badge had accessed the building at 2:47 a.m. He was here. Damien led the way, security flanking us. We found Harrison in his office, frantically deleting files from his computer. Step away from the keyboard, Damien said, his voice deadly calm. Harrison spun around, his face going pale. Mr. Ashford, I was just destroying evidence of corporate espionage. Damien gestured to security. Take his computers, all of them, and his phones, everything. You can't do this, Harrison blustered. I have rights. You forfeited them when you sold out my company. Damien pulled out his phone. I'm forwarding everything to the police. Enjoy federal prison. Harrison lunged for his computer. Security grabbed him. In the struggle, he knocked over a filing cabinet, and a cascade of printed documents spilled out. Schematics, trade secrets, copies of the Nexus source code marked with MedTech letterhead. You were giving them everything, I breathed. Harrison glared at me with pure hatred. This is your fault. If you just kept your mouth shut about that stupid bug, everything would have worked perfectly. Nexus would have launched, people would have died, Titan would have been destroyed in lawsuits, and I'd be rich. You wanted people to die. Damien's voice was horrified. I wanted justice, Harrison spat. You promoted a child over me. You gave her my project. You humiliated me in front of the entire department. So yes, I made sure Nexus would fail. And I made sure you'd never know until it was too late. But Sophie found the bug, Damien said quietly. She saved Nexus. She saved Titan. She ruined your plan. Harrison's laugh was bitter. She ruined everything. The police arrived. They arrested Harrison on the spot, reading him his rights while he shouted about lawyers and wrongful termination. Damien and I stood in the trashed office, surrounded by evidence of betrayal. Are you okay? I asked. No, he ran a hand through his hair. My VP tried to kill my company, tried to kill patients, because I hurt his feelings. You did the right thing promoting me. I know, but he was right about one thing. Damien turned to face me. I have been humiliating people, dismissing them, valuing money over ethics. You called me out on it that first day, and you were right. You've changed, I said softly. Because of you, he stepped closer. You forced me to see what I'd become. The kind of boss who fires people for telling the truth. The kind of person who values profit over lives. You're not that person anymore. Only because you wouldn't let me be. We were standing very close now. Close enough that I could see the exhaustion and gratitude and something deeper in his eyes. Sophie, he said quietly, I need to tell you something. What? This is completely inappropriate. You work for me. The power dynamics are wrong. I could get sued for harassment, but I don't care anymore. He took a breath. I'm in love with you. My heart stopped. What? I'm in love with you. I have been since the day you threw that champagne glass. Maybe before. And I know this is wrong. I know you could report me to HR. But I had to tell you. I had to. I kissed him. It was impulsive and reckless and perfect. He made a sound of surprise. Then his arms came around me, pulling me closer. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathless. I'm in love with you too, I said. And yes, this is inappropriate. And yes, we're probably going to get sued. But I don't care either. He laughed, pressing his forehead to mine. We're going to have to tell HR. We're going to have to tell everyone. The stock is going to tank. Let it tank, I smiled. We'll rebuild. Together. Together. 6 weeks later, Nexus launched. The new version, fixed and tested and perfect, with Sophie Chen listed as lead architect in the credits. The launch was a massive success. 0 failures, 0 deaths. Hospitals across the country signed contracts. Titan's stock soared to record highs. And Damien Ashford stood on stage at the product announcement with his hand in mine, introducing me not as his employee, but as his partner. In every sense of the word. This is Sophie Chen, he said to the packed auditorium. She saved this company. She saved this product. She saved me. And everything good about Nexus exists because she refused to stay silent when powerful people told her to shut up. The applause was deafening. Later, at the launch party, surrounded by investors and press and people who finally knew my name, Damien pulled me aside. I have something for you, he said. He handed me a small velvet box. I opened it. Inside was a key. What's this? The key to the R&D lab. You're the new VP of engineering. Full autonomy. Build whatever you want. Hire whoever you need. And I promise to listen to every crazy idea you have. I stared at the key, at the promotion I'd earned, at the future I'd built by refusing to be invisible. There's one condition, Damien added. What? You have to promise to keep calling me out when I'm being an ass. I need someone who's not afraid to throw champagne at me when I'm wrong. I laughed. I think I can manage that. He pulled me close, kissing me in front of everyone, not caring who saw. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible. I was exactly where I was supposed to be,